To be like Jesus, Daily Devotional by Ellen G. White. Israel pledges to obey God's commandments, February 4th. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people, and they said, "All the Lord has said we will do, and be obedient." Exodus chapter 24, verse 7. Preparation was now made for the ratification of the covenant according to God's directions. Exodus chapter 24, verse 4 to 8 quoted. Here the people received the conditions of the covenant. They made a solemn covenant with God, typifying the covenant made between God and every believer in Jesus Christ. The conditions were plainly laid before the people. They were not left to misunderstand them. When they were requested to decide whether they would agree to all the conditions given, they unanimously consented to obey every obligation. They had already consented to obey God's commandments. The principles of the law were now particularised, that they might know how much was involved in covenanting to obey the law, and they accepted the specifically defined particulars of the law. If the Israelites had obeyed God's requirements, they would have been practical Christians. They would have been happy, for they would have been keeping God's way and not following the inclinations of their own natural hearts. Moses did not leave them to misunderstand the words of the Lord or misapply his requirements. He wrote all the words of the Lord in a book that they might be referred to afterwards. In the mount he had written them as Christ himself dictated them. Bravely did the Israelites speak the words promising obedience to the Lord. After hearing his covenant read in the audience of the people, they said, "All the Lord has said we will do, and be obedient." Exodus chapter 24, verse 7. Then the people were set apart and sealed of God. A sacrifice was offered to the Lord. A portion of the blood of the sacrifice was sprinkled upon the altar. This signified that the people had consecrated themselves, body, mind, and soul to God. A portion was sprinkled upon the people. This signified that the sprinkled blood of Christ, God graciously accepted them as his special treasure. Thus, the Israelites entered into a solemn covenant with God. This is your daily devotion. We thank you for listening. We hope you can join us again tomorrow. Please also check the YouTube comments for any further study notes.